Hey everyone, welcome to episode 8 of the Creator Series here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I talked to a Washington D.C. singer-songwriter. Her name is Ainae Nielsen, and we talked about a lot of great stuff today. She told me her influences in music, which include Lauryn Hill and the late Amy Winehouse. We talked about kind of the differences between being independent and being on a label, and how the freedom of independence as an artist is kind of such an important thing, which we've talked about in past episodes, but her explanation this time is really amazing, so stay tuned for that in the episode. And man, I don't even know what we talked for, probably over an hour. I'd have to look at the episode runtime, but this is arguably one of the best conversations I've had. She is very knowledgeable, and I can tell that she's going to have a long and probably pretty prosperous career, so enough talk. Let's get into this episode today. Welcome, everyone, to episode 8 of the Creator Series here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today's guest hails from Washington, D.C., and her name is Ainae. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear that you're doing pretty good today. So we kind of start off every episode with just giving kind of like a summary of yourself, kind of how you got started in music, and just give the fans and the listeners that don't know you kind of just a little bit of info about you.
Okay, so I'm Ainae. I'm a singer-songwriter. I started writing music when I was a kid, like writing stupid, sappy love songs about love I never knew. But I think that going into college, I actually went to the Weeknd's concert, which is kind of crazy. And I was just like, wait a second, this is what I want to do. And then from there, I started writing my EP called Contort. And I named it that basically because I kind of felt like I was coming into what it is that I wanted to do. And now I've just kind of been sharpening my sword, collaborating with different artists, and trying to really hone in on what it is, like my style and my sound and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Nice. So, yeah, I saw you had, like, your EP and everything, and I checked that out and some of your singles as well and everything. So, have you released anything, like, this year? I know I saw stuff from, like, 2018. I haven't really seen.
So, I'm actually working on an EP, so that will be coming out this year. And I've been working on visuals for the songs that I did put out. So, I released a music video for my song Girls, I think, like, last month. So, I've really been putting more into, like, content and really writing for this new EP that's going to be coming out soon.
Nice. So another kind of follow-up question that I've been starting off every episode with is, I know that 2020 has been kind of a crazy year for a lot of people in a lot of different ways, and I know a lot of people didn't expect a lot of things to happen that have happened. So what do you think has been kind of your, I don't know, way of coping with a lot of the things that have happened, or how are you kind of staying sane during the last, like, 5 or 6 months, do you think?
Yeah, 2020 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't even, but I think that it's been forcing me, and I think a lot of creatives, to kind of take a step back and reevaluate and pour more time into what they create, because a lot of time we're performing, or a lot of the time it is performing and working with other artists. You don't necessarily have the capacity to just be one with what you want to bring to the table, you know what I mean? Like, besides performing and perfecting that craft, because that's a craft within itself.
Yeah.
So I think it's forced people to really rethink and pour more love into their music. So I think that's what's kind of been keeping me sane. I've been able to write more, like, every day I'm able to write at least one song, or go back to a song that I thought was finished, but I'm listening to it back and I'm like, this could be better. Creating visuals and seeing, like, large artists create really cheap, low budget videos that look A1 day one. I'm like, all right, well, I thought that I needed to pour all this money into this, but I guess that I can really show what I can bring to the table when it comes to, like, video editing and all those things, because now an artist has to be everything. So I think it's really forced me to be the most self-sufficient artist, I think, and be more creative, else? I don't know. I feel like it's just, it hasn't been as bad. I think there has been a lot of blessings out of this pandemic. It hasn't all been bad. There has been bad. Like, you can't perform. You can do live stream. Like, it's opening new channels that you didn't even think were gonna happen. Like, who knew I would be this popular?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, when it first came out, I was like, you really want to sit here and just watch me talk? Like, that's kind of weird. But
now it's like a normal thing, pretty much.
Exactly.
It's like an everyday
new
artist.
Now they're trying to figure out how to make it so people can pay to see these types of live streams. So I think it's made way for more creativity and more opportunities for artists to showcase what they bring to the table, and people are more accessible. Like, you can reach out to quote-unquote large brands and be like, hey, I think, and they'll actually respond to you. Or, I mean, it depends on who you reach out to, but they're more accessible now that everyone is at home. And yeah, so I think there's been a lot of opportunities out of this.
I know, like, it's kind of weird to see how, like, a lot of different creators have been, like, dealing with the situation. Like, I know a lot of people are, like, lacking money, or they have, like, other jobs where they get income from and everything. So, I mean, it's, like, for you said it's been pretty good. You've been able to write songs and do all that type of thing. I think it's, like, just how you look at the situation and, like, how can you get better out of this situation as opposed to just not doing anything. Like, just do what you can control, I think, is the best thing to do, instead of just, focusing on what isn't there or what you're not able to do, like the shows and things. Like, just trying to stay positive and just trying to stay creative is probably the biggest challenge. But like you said, as long as you're using, like, your resources, and a lot of people are more available now, you can reach out to people and do a lot more. I think that's kind of like the key to I don't know, just staying on the right path pretty much, and not really getting interrupted by what's been going on.
Yeah.
As far as your music.
Yeah. It hasn't been that nice to me, but I think definitely the outlook. Like, I was studying abroad in South Africa before this whole thing, this pandemic happened, everything. And we literally, my entire program, our school, it was like a whole situation. The first week, they were like, we're not going to be in a state of emergency. And then, so we're all hopeful. We're like, okay, we can stay in South Africa. Like, we'll be straight. Then we get an email saying that school's closing. We're like, okay, cool. Whatever. We can still be in South Africa. I don't have to take that test I was studying for. And then our program tells us we were basically deported from South Africa. I was like, this is
like every day was like changing, like a new thing. Like, I remember, like, one day I was working a job, and then the next day my job was gone, and, like, I haven't been back to the job since. So it's just like, especially during March when the whole thing went down, it was like everything was moving so quickly you couldn't really keep track of, like, what was happening.
And nobody knew what to do. It was literally nobody knew what was going on. Businesses were not making the best business decisions. So I think after 2020, I don't know what the world's going to look like after this. I don't think it's ever going to necessarily get back to normal, which is kind of the scary thing. But like I said, the outlook, you can pour into this podcast, and you can pour into what other thing that you put on hold because you had that job, that now you can actually take time to figure out how you can make that a moneymaker, which will take time, but I think it opens doors for discovery in those realms,
Totally agree. And I think, like you just said, like, this podcast and, like, everything that I've been trying to do and things like that, I just hope, like, other people are seeing it from that perspective of they have, like, an opportunity and not just think about all the negative, because negative things will definitely kind of get you on the wrong path of what you're trying to do. So next question I got for you is, as far as, like, your branding goes and, like, your videos and things like that, do you have anyone that kind of helps you out, that that, like, a videographer, or do you have, like, engineers that are close to you that help you with mixing and things? Or are you kind of, I know you talked about being self-sufficient, like, more now. Do you have anybody, though, that kind of helps you out, that you kind of want to shout out or anything?
Oh, definitely. My dad's actually an audio engineer, so I record with him. So shout out to Heron Studios. Nice. He's been he is a poet. So when I come up with songs, like, I'm always like, hey, I have this song, like, listen to it, let me know what you think. And a lot of the times when I write, and I'm learning now that I'm very wordy with my lyrics, so I've been learning how to, like, yes, I have a lot to say, but I can say everything with not as many words and get the point across beautifully. So I think having that as a soundboard has been extremely, extremely helpful. For the videos that I did, for Summertime Fine, I was working with this production company called Wampu, which they're amazing. Like, the quality's great, and like I helped with direction and created the entire concept. But like I said, like, when you don't have that necessarily, like, that expertise in things, like, you can feel like you're being super specific about things, but when you're working with somebody else, they really, like, make you see what a viewer would see, and that has been extremely helpful. But when it comes to branding, YouTube is my best friend. Like, I've been learning a lot about social media marketing, and my mom works in marketing, so going over different ideas that I may have and being better with putting out a single, because I think a lot of artists, they put out a single and they think, like, 1 to 2 weeks of promo is enough, but reality is, like, you have to keep pushing it. Like, if you put out one single, all your videos should have that one single in it. Everything you do should be just talking about that one single. And I think that really trying to be consistent and stop getting in my head has been a huge, huge thing for me, because I think, I don't know, my mom always tells me, she's just like, you're such a creative, like, you think too deeply about things. I'm like, okay, but
you end up overthinking everything.
Everything. Yep. I'm like, like, if you put out a song and you've been promoting for 2 weeks. I remember I put out Summertime Fine. I was just like, I feel like I'm doing too much. Just like, nobody knows who you are yet. You can say you're doing too much when you get to a level where your streams are where you want them, where, like, you're still building yourself. So stop getting in your head. I think that's the hugest thing. So my family has been an amazing support group for me. So shout out to my family.
Nice. Well, you answered a lot of questions I had later, but I'm going to kind of dive into some stuff later about, like, marketing and things like that. But, like, you said about, like, your mom and your dad, like, that's definitely very good to have, I think, because I don't think, like, a lot of people have access to, like, family members or people that are close to them that'll, like, help them out in that way. And I think, like, you just having that is, like, a very important thing for you, and that's probably going to be beneficial for you even down the line, because it's going to be able to.
I'm very blessed in that department.
Yeah, so that's definitely amazing that you have that. So you were talking about, like, your lyrics and things a little earlier. Can you talk about, have you ever experienced, like, a writer's block of any sort as far as, like, your writing goes, and how do you overcome that if you have?
So I've definitely had writer's block. And I always feel like writer's block comes when you're doing too much, like, you're pushing, like, you've written, I don't know, let's talk about, like, my instance. Like, if I've had an extremely busy week, usually that should be able to, you know, inspire you to write, because you just had all these experiences within your week. But sometimes it's just too much, and your body's tired, and your brain's tired, and you find the best beat that you think you've ever heard, and, like, nothing is coming out. And in those moments, I have to reevaluate, like, what I'm feeling in those moments, because if I'm tired, then my brain's tired. Like, I literally have nothing to bring to the table right now. So it takes time to allow the writer's block to happen, if that makes sense. Like, don't, of course, push yourself, but if you recognize that you don't feel inspired right now, don't think that inspiration's never going to come, because it is going to come. You're just tired. And
it's just not the right. It's not the right timing, you know.
It may not be the right timing, and I don't know. I feel like I'm such a romantic comedy nerd. You know, I love me a good romance. So when I have writer's block, I just watch movies or read a book, or, you know, find other things that make me feel good, because it all comes from it's an entire package. You being able to write, just like how you can't do your homework, you got too much on your mind, or you can't do basic life things when there's a lot going on, or maybe there's nothing going on and you just spice things up. Go out, go to the club, try something new. And then you come back and you're like, okay, I'm feeling happy, or I'm feeling sad, and you acknowledge those feelings and you're able to write. And I think also sometimes you call it writer's block, but you might just not have found, for someone who uses beats, or you just might not have found the beat that is speaking to you. So keep searching. Or if you play an instrument, you might not have found the right. If you play the guitar, you might think that this is a cool little thing you're playing, but it's not speaking to you. So let's move on, and you can come back to it. Like, you don't have to finish all the time. You can start and pause and move on to the next, and then remember to come back to what you started. But writer's block, it comes with territory. Like, everyone goes through it. It's tough, but you'll get through it.
Yeah, I know, like, I've definitely heard that, like, take a break thing and kind of, like, free your mind thing, and, like, I've tried to do that a little more, like, especially, I live in, like, you could probably relate being on the East Coast, like, a lot of the months are, like, cold weather, and you can't go outside a lot. So, like, in the summertime, like, I'm trying to utilize, like, being outside and, like, in the fresh air. Like, I'll go play basketball or, like, go on a walk or something just to, like, get away from the computer, because that is just annoying. I don't want to sit in the computer all the time. So that right there is something that you can do to kind of, like, free yourself, free your mind a little bit and kind of, like, recharge the batteries. And then, like, obviously, like you said, go to the club and, like, things like that, or do whatever. But I think as far as, like, the writer's block thing, I don't write music or anything. I just, like, make beats. Like, for me, it's like, I don't like to just force myself to make something just to say I made it. I want to actually put, like, the full amount of, like, effort into it and make it what I want to make it. So, like, if I'm up at, like, 1 a.m. and I'm trying to, like, make a beat or something and I'm about to fall asleep, I just give up, because I'm like, I'm not going to make something that is just half-assed just to do it, just to say I did it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and honestly, like, learn your body. Like, I can't do anything unless I have this moment where the words are coming and whatever. Like, after, like, 11:30, I'm such an early bird. After 11:30, it's a done deal. Like, if I'm starting to doze off, nothing is going to get done. Like, if it comes to school, writing, if I'm tired, it's going to have to wait for the next day, because it's not going to sound as great as I want it to anyway. I'm not going to absorb the information, so let me just go to sleep. Like, cleanse your palate, I'm
still, like my brother, for example, like, he's, like, an insomniac. Like, he never sleeps at all. He stays up, like, all night, and he'll get, like, a few hours of sleep in the daytime. And I'm like, part of me wishes I could do that, but part of me thinks that's very unhealthy, and I don't want to do that.
Definitely unhealthy.
Yeah. I'm like, I could get more work done, but at the same time, I would probably end up in the hospital. So probably not great to do that. But that's, like, how he is. That's how a lot of people are, but I'm just not. That's not me.
People are night owls. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah, I feel it. So as far as your career goes, what do you think is, like, the best piece of advice that you've been given as far as how to kind of just continue pursuing music as a career and kind of make it something that you'll be able to do, hopefully? I don't know if you want to do music full time eventually, but what do you think is the best advice you've been given by, like, a family member or just anyone else as far as that goes?
Best advice. If I can remember who said it. But I know, like, every time I talk about music in my family, it's like a two-sided sword. Like, my grandma will be like, are you sure you're going to be broke? And then my dad would be like, because since he's doing it, he's like, you can do it, And I think that, like, my dad is always just like, always strive for more, like, always be proud and love what you bring to other people, and for yourself. Like, first love it for yourself and then be excited to show it to others, because if you don't love it for yourself, then you're not going to be excited to show it to others. And I think that like, throughout my whole, like, discovery of trying to, and growing up and saying that this is what I want to do, because this is what I see for myself. After college, like, I see myself moving to LA and just hustling and bustling and figuring out how I can get this to the next level. But it's always been like striving to do more, be more, and research how I can be what it takes to be the artist that I see myself as in the future, because I don't see myself doing anything else. So yeah, I think always strive for more, love your art first, and then be excited to share with others has been my,
Yeah, I know, like, I've heard, like, from people, like, people I watch on YouTube and, like, inspirational, like, speakers that I've heard before, and they kind of talk about, like, you got to make sure that what you're doing is right for you first before anybody else, like, is going to tell you what to do or whatever. So, like you just said, if you don't love it 100% and you're not confident in it, then why would anyone else care?
Exactly. Like, you're going to let somebody else hear it, and then the whole time you're going to be cringing, like, are they going to hear that thing I should have edited out? Are they going to, like, you want to be at the table and be 100%, this is the best work I've ever done. And if you don't like it, that's on you. You don't want somebody to say they don't like it, and you're just like, wait, they don't like it, so I guess they heard what, like, you
start kind of self-doubting at that point.
Yeah, you're going to end up doubting yourself. It comes with the territory. But you open up way more doors if you're confident in what you're bringing to the table.
Yep. So. That's
also another thing that because I think a lot of people in general, like, they're always waiting for the next thing to come before they start. So, like, if you want to start a YouTube channel, you're like, oh, I'm gonna buy this new camera, but I gotta wait for my money to save up. I'm like, no, you have a phone, you can create it.
Just start small, and then, like, once you get bigger, just build up. Once you start getting bigger, like.
But I was watching this YouTube video, and this guy, I don't remember what his name was, but I think his name was like Adam Ivy.
Adam Ivy?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I know him.
Love him, and he was like, use what you have until what you have
pays for what you want. Yep.
I was like, that was so deep.
I was actually in his master class a couple years ago. So he's pretty cool. I've DM'd him a few times and everything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him on the show eventually, so hopefully that can happen.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a dope dude. He's actually, I discovered his, like, videos like 2 or 3 years ago. He's helped me out a ton as far as, like, marketing and things.
So insightful. I'm like, you're giving us this free information. Wow.
Gems. Nothing but gems with that guy.
Nothing but gems.
All right, so let's move back to, like, kind of more inspirations. This time kind of on the music side. Who do you think are your biggest musical inspirations, like artists or just anybody?
So, I love Amy Winehouse. I think a lot of all of her songs are direct reflections of her life, but she says it in such poetry. It's so poetic in everything that she does. And you don't even think how deep they are until, like, I watched the movie, and, like, I've been following her career before she passed away, and you don't realize, like, everything she is talking about happened in her life in sequence. And I think that's been very inspirational to me, because it allows me to kind of deconstruct what, I guess, like, mainstream music and how it's written, how lyrics, the construction of a song, and make it so you're still telling a story, it's still a reflection of you, it's poetry, but it can still be received by the mass population. So I think Amy Winehouse has definitely been a huge influence in my music. Who else? Love Lauryn Hill, definitely. The whole rap, poetry, sing, that's definitely been a part of, like, figuring out my sound. So yeah, I think Amy Winehouse and Lauryn Hill have been the hugest influences in my music journey.
Nice. I know, like, I remember I came up, like, listening to the radio around, like, 2006, 7, and that was when Amy Winehouse was, like, starting to get pretty big around, like, 07. I didn't really realize, like, back then, like, how deep her music actually was until I kind of dove into it when I was older, because back then I was, like, 11, 12 years old, so I didn't really, like, listen to music on a deep level or anything, but then I kind of realized, like, how important her music actually was to a lot of people. Like, I don't listen to her every day, but, like, just hearing it now, I'm like, she had pretty important stuff.
Music was her coping with everything. And I think a lot of musicians, you can hear the pain. You can, like, I think we connect a lot more with musicians that, yes, you connect with the words and whatever, but you hear it in their voice. Everything that they're going through and how the music is their bloodline. And I think that has been, like, that's key in knowing, like, anybody can necessarily be a musician, but you don't have to necessarily love doing music. And I think Amy Winehouse loved what she did, and it really translated. Like, I remember when her album Back to Black came out, me and my mom listened to that album over, and every day we would go to school and that album would be playing. Like, that was a part of growing up. Like, it was so good. So I think definitely, I don't know, she was just so pure, such a pure soul, and so sad. Literally right when she was getting to the tip of the iceberg, that's when she passed away. But her music, it lives on through generations. Everyone should know who she is.
I think that's like, you can always like tell the difference between, like you just said, like people that just kind of do music just to say that they're doing it, and then the people that really like, they don't care about the money or anything like that. They just want to affect people positively with what they're saying. And like, she was one of those people, and like a lot of those people, I feel like a lot of the people that have, you know, kind of left us too early, if you will, they kind of were like that too, and that's why their music is so prevalent and like lives on, like you said. So, so you said Lauryn Hill, Amy Winehouse. Do you have any other dream collabs that you could think of?
Dream collabs? Okay. I would love to work with Anderson .Paak.
Ooh, he's dope.
He's so dope, and he's so underrated. I don't even understand. Who else? Snow Allegra.
Oh, I love her. She's amazing.
I'm just like, come on, let me open up.
She's dropping a new song tomorrow. Do you know that? She's dropping a new song tomorrow.
Oh, I know.
Yep.
I'm
ready
excited
to hear that.
So, yeah, Snow Allegra.
Nice.
Have you heard of Giveon?
Yeah, he was on the Drake Chicago Freestyle, right?
Yeah, and he opened up for Snow Allegra.
Nice. Yeah, I'll have to check out his music. I heard like him on that Drake song, and I was like, yeah, I like this guy's style, so I'm gonna have to check him out.
Voice so deep, like that baritone voice. Like nobody sings like that anymore. Who else? Literally the list could go on and on. There's so many people I want to work with. But who else? Anderson .Paak, Lauryn Hill. Who else? Oh, Kay Trinata.
Oh, yep.
That would be amazing.
That would be dope.
Steve Lacy, Tyler Creator, Earl Sweatshirt, J. Cole, Rihanna, Beyonce. Beyonce's got to be. She's number one up there.
I think I had one other person say Beyonce not too long ago, and I was like, I wonder what the budget would be for that song. You would have to.
I don't even think it would be a budget. I feel like Beyonce doesn't care about that anymore. It's like either she's messing with your music and wants to help support your career, or she ain't talking to you.
Maybe it is. I don't know. But those were all good, like dream collabs. I think those are all really dope artists. So let's kind of keep with collaborating. What do you think is your favorite part about working with other artists or producers? What do you think? How do you think collaboration kind of helps music get better and like improve?
I think you can only bring what you can bring to the table. Like, you don't know what another person's ideas would be, what they hear. You may think these ad-libs work, but somebody else might hear the song and be like, no, you should do this. Or you're writing a song and you think it's 100% fire, and then you let another person hear it, or you want to have a rapper on the song and they hear what you're doing. You're like, you know what, it'd be cool if you did X, Y, and Z, or you hear what their rap is and you want to spruce up what you brought to the table. It's like, that doesn't, you can't be the full oil machine. Like everyone brings different things to the table and creates different complexities within whatever you're trying to go for. And I think with producing, that's special because, at least for me, I've always wished I played an instrument, because I think that I always have these melodies in my head, but it's so hard to translate what it is I'm hearing in my head to somebody else and be like, hey, I need help. You play the guitar, and I'm singing it, and I'm like, what key is this? Like, I don't even know.
Mm.
And we're like going back and forth over and over and over again. But the fact that someone is able to translate what it is that I just have up in my head is really cool. And it never necessarily translates exactly how I envisioned it, but it's always better because they're seeing it beyond what I could ever see it for.
Mm.
So that's definitely really cool. And producers are just, depending on who you work with, they're just dope because they can even hear music you already put out and be like, can I do a remix? I'm like, yeah, take it. Here's the stems. Here's my vocals. Let me know if you need anything. And then come back and I'm like, I would have never thought my song could sound like that. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's like I know, like especially with producers and everything, and just knowing how it works, like with like DAWs and everything. There's so many possibilities for like remixes and different flips of things, and
Exactly.
so that's definitely something that I think a lot of people should like. If they know producers, they could probably take advantage of, or like try different things out. And you never know what could happen.
And producers are so underrated. Like, you only necessarily hear about certain producers, at least mainstream. But a lot of producers are literally searching for artists to work with, even if they are these name producers that worked with Summer Walker or et cetera, et cetera. Well, okay, if they work with like Beyonce or Jay-Z, like they ain't looking for nobody. But there are producers who are seeking out artists that they could work with that they see a future of success with and kind of want to cleanse their palette of the music that they're used to producing and explore different worlds. Because a producer who produces just hip-hop doesn't necessarily want to be stuck with just doing hip-hop. Like, if you do pop, that can cross over. Like, you don't know necessarily what a producer is interested in unless you reach out. I always say, reach out. The worst thing they can do is not respond or say no. And that's the worst thing. That's not that bad to me. So, yeah.
I know you're kind of like speaking my language a little bit, because like I know what I'm trying to do. Like with myself as a producer, I'm trying to be as versatile as possible. Like I don't just want to work with rappers. I want to work with like singers. I want to work with other producers and do as much as I can. I want to like utilize every opportunity that I have. I don't just want to be one of the people that's like, well, I only want to do boom bap, or I only want to do trap. Like, why would you only want to do that? You could do so many more cool things and work with so many more cool people. So
And there's so many producers. Producers can do movie scores.
yeah.
Like, there are so many things that we need producers for that doesn't just limit itself to having lyrics on a song. Like, you don't have to, like, if your beats are strong, who knows? There might be a movie that needs some vibey instrumentation for a beach scene. You never know?
That's another thing I've kind of been like diving into recently, is like the whole sync licensing world of like having your music in like TV and like advertisements and movies and things. Like I don't even think when I became a producer I even thought that that was a thing, but when you learn these things, you learn that you shouldn't just like limit yourself to just one thing. You should do as much as you can if you can.
Like audio engineers, we need you guys for the concerts. Like, they get paid so much money to just run an hour concert. Like, like, don't limit yourself to just $50 an hour, $75 an hour studio sessions. Like, explore the whole world that is you.
Yeah. So like I think as long as you have the access to that information and you like learn from people that have kind of been where you want to go, then you should definitely like take advantage of all the opportunities you have. So that's definitely something that I think people need to kind of pay more attention to. Back to kind of like, well, your music and just music in general. How do you think kind of writing music for the times that we live in is important? Like I saw I think it was like a video of Nina Simone back in the 60s, and she was talking about how important it is to reflect the times in your music. And if you're not doing that, then you're not really doing your job as an artist. So what do you think about that, and how important do you think that is?
Oh, I think it's extremely important because in you telling a story, there also is an element in being able to connect to your fans, being able to connect to your followers. Like, I think I heard one song like a few years ago when I think there was I don't know, like you never like now you hear people talking about texting in a song or like FaceTiming and all. And I used to think that was like so weird. I'm like, we can figure out how to say it more cute, you know? But now people like that's the times we live in. People are texting. People are getting ghosted. People are being left on red. Like there are so many things that before it got popular, you'd be like, don't put that in the song, like that sounds stupid. But now it's life, and I think that especially now that with everything going on, you need to be able to look beyond just yourself and express what the world is telling you. If that makes sense, like with the Black Lives Matter movement happening not even right now, but the influx of media coverage, because none of this is new, everything that's happening, but the influx of media coverage and marching and protesting, like it's your job to be able to explain how you feel, but also create a painting with everything, if that makes sense. How the anger that's right now, like reflecting that in your music and being able to portray something beyond what your experience may be, but what you like. You can connect to what you connect with. Like I don't know, being a Black woman in America, I'm able to take what's happening now and create a song or create a piece of artwork or create a video or do whatever to shed light on what's happening, because that's part of, I mean, you define what you want your artistry to be, but I think there's definitely a political aspect to being the voice or allowing yourself to be an instrument for the movement. So I think that's a huge thing, and that was huge with Nina Simone. Like a lot of she basically was blacklisted from everything because she was so political in a lot of her music. She wasn't getting booked. She wasn't, because people were, the general audience didn't want to hear that anymore. But I think that she was so down for the cause because she lived the life that she was playing the music to. She wasn't playing for the mass population. She was playing for the people who were out there marching, who were, in the front line. So I think as an artist, if you choose, you have to allow yourself to be an instrument, if that makes sense, and paint a picture, express how you feel, but also be a part of your community in the capacity you see fit. Like I literally wrote a song yesterday about everything that's happening, and I think that's part of the movement. It's a part of forcing people to listen. Like a lot of people can change the channel, stop putting themselves in front of the news or whatever. But if you're surrounded by it, if I'm contributing to the noise that you're trying to find distractions so you don't have to listen to, then that's contributing to something. So,
I know, like, for me, like, I like the artists I listen to, for example, like I always kind of, it's refreshing to hear that they are kind of in tune with what's happening in the present. Like, I know everyone has their own lives and they have their own agendas and things like that, but like I'd rather see an artist like stand up for what they believe in and kind of like give people hope, and like even if it's not like directly affecting them, I'd rather see that artist like show that they give a shit, you know what I mean? So I think like that's very important, and like I've been happy to see like Wale, I listen to him a lot. I listen to J. Cole. I've been happy to see them kind of come out and like address these things right off the bat, and like they didn't waste any time with it, and they kind of like let people know like their stance on a lot of things and how important these issues have been to them. So I think like for lesser known artists, I think what you should kind of like take away is, the fans are going to kind of appreciate it a lot more if you just let them know how you're feeling about it, because a lot of people especially during like times like this, music is kind of the escape for them, and
Yeah.
kind of like what they relate. Like myself, I relate everything back to music. Like I don't sit and watch the news all day. I don't
Yeah.
sit and like digest all this stuff that's like everyone else is talking about. Like I just play songs, and like that's how I cope with a lot of things. So like I think a lot of artists don't see the power that their words can have, and like that their impact can have. And if you
Yeah.
have that platform, you should definitely use it for the reasons that you're trying to get across, and the messages you're trying to get across, I think. So,
And fans want to get to know you.
Yeah.
They want to. Like, nobody wants... Like, if you see an Instagram page where, at least from a social media aspect, like, the page is just pictures, there's no video, or the captions aren't doing anything, like, they're not allowing you to learn who the artist is, they might look like they have a huge following, but their engagement might not be there. Like, fans want to know who you are. They appreciate everything. Like, if you are feeling sad or you're feeling happy, like, they want to know what your personality is so that they can connect you, so that they can see pieces of themselves in you. And that's a lot. Like, that's a lot to kind of, I don't know. I feel like that makes it sound like you're on a pedestal, but it's not. It's more of you follow someone because you enjoy their music, but you also enjoy who they are as a person. Nobody likes an asshole.
Yeah.
You know?
I know, like I said earlier, like the artists that I listen to, I feel like I relate to their like music, but also kind of like just their personality. Even though I've never met a lot of these people, I feel like you feel the connection in like certain ways that's hard to kind of explain. But like you said, I think it's very important that people just know kind of like what they're trying to get across, and like how to get it across to the right people, and just be yourself. Don't be like some fake person or fake artist or whoever you're trying to impress. Just impress yourself, and just feel like you're doing the right thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of all it is. This is another question. It's not really related to that, but as far as your time management goes, as far as music and kind of balancing it with the rest of whatever, I know you said you have school and everything. How do you think you deal with time management, or how do you think you could get better at your time management skills?
So, I have a planner. I live my life by a planner. I write every day. I have to, because it's so easy to forget. And I don't know, it's something satisfying about like checking something off, and like I did that, and I can look at everything that I've done in that day. But I think it's all about like how you prioritize what you allow to take your time. It's very easy to want to do everything, but reality is you can't do everything, and then you try to do everything, you don't finish anything. So I think for me to be better with my time management, it's prioritizing who I allow to take my time. That sounds kind of weird, but yeah, who I allow to take my time, what I choose to do with the time that I have. Because even though you may have 24 hours in a day, your sleep half of it, you only have a certain amount of time before the sun goes down, and you have work, and you have school. For me, the hardest thing is balancing school and work with music, because all I want to do is music. So it's hard to stay focused. Like, I'll be doing an assignment, I'm just like, you know what? Let me work on this. I've been trying to figure out like different influencers I can work with. So like, if I see a cool person, I'm like, okay, maybe let me just DM them, and now I'm off course, because once you start, you can't just stop it and
stop halfway and then go.
Or if you're like, okay, I'm just gonna watch this YouTube video. Now all the side videos are popping up. You're like, maybe if I just watch this.
You fall down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
The YouTube rabbit hole.
So I think, at least for me, because next year is gonna be my senior year at Howard University, I've been telling myself, I'm like, look, I know it's hard for you to focus because you're not I enjoy the social aspect of school. I don't necessarily enjoy school. Okay. Like doing assignments, studying for tests, like I don't know anybody who enjoys any of that, but like it's my senior year. I have to graduate. I'm not paying any more money to go to this school for another extra semester, none of that. So it's all been like writing down on my planner, allocating 2 hours or 3 hours, or saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's just school. The other days I can focus on other things so that I can force myself to actually see improvement in school and graduate, because I'm on the track to graduating on time. But I just know since online school is going to be a thing, it's so hard to stay motivated. So, motivate yourself somehow. I don't know. Reward yourself. Online shop if you finish a task. I mean, that's bad. Don't do that all the time.
Yeah, you'll go broke real quick that way, I think. Run out of money real quick, I think. Especially if you're in college.
Take yourself to the dollar store. I don't know.
Go get like McDonald's or something. I don't know.
Buy yourself some stupid and cheap at the dollar store. Some gum. That could be your
small rewards. I know for me, like, I never realized until the past couple years that I had like attention problems. Like you were saying, like the YouTube thing. Like, I'll do one thing 1 minute, and then next thing I know, I'll be like, wait, what was I gonna do? Oh, that's right, I forgot, and I forget all about it. Like the other day, like I was listening to music, and I'm like, I gotta remind myself, gotta upload that video to YouTube. Well, I end up laying down in bed, and I'm like, damn it, I forgot to upload the video to YouTube, and I was like, well, I guess I'll do it tomorrow.
That's why you need a planner. This is mine.
See, and I even started writing down in, like, I use my notes app on my iPhone. That's what I use. I'm more of, like, keeping it all on the phone thing. But, like, and I'm trying to get better at, like, organizing and doing things like that. But I still, every once in a while, it's something like that just slips my mind. Like, if I have a lot going on or something, and it just, like, I don't know, it just
But I also think it's the time. I think we were born in social media. We were born with the internet. If you really think about it, there's no real new discovery. Everything has been discovered for us.
It's like recycled information over and over again.
We haven't had to think about new math formulas. We haven't had to find anything.
It's all been kind of just given right to us, like in the palm of our hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the words have been defined. I mean, but like we can go on the internet and find every single thing we need. So there is no sense of like we don't need to take the time to sit there and learn for some unknown reason, because we have all these tabs open in our brain that there's like we all have ADHD, I think. Really think so.
It's like information overload, honestly. Yeah. Like it gets overwhelming like a lot. Like sometimes I feel I just gotta like put the phone down and just do something else, because it gets crazy sometimes. But that's good to know that you have like kind of the planner and you kind of have things organized, and that's really good to hear. So I saw on your YouTube, and I think I saw on your Instagram, you have like cover songs that you've done. How do you think doing cover songs has kind of helped to write original content, like your actual songs? Like, has it helped to be able to do covers of other songs and kind of get a vibe for that and kind of put that into your own music, or how do you feel that?
Yes. I think that you're able to look at how certain songs are structured and wordplay. Like, if you look at a Frank Ocean song, like, a lot of what he's talking about, you don't even know what he's talking about half the time, but it's done like he's painting a picture, and you hear that song, you're just like, how did he even come up with that wordplay right there? And then you go back to all music, you're like, all right, I'm trying to do some wordplay like Frank Ocean did. And then you may look at like who else? You may look at another song and see how they put their verse first and then their chorus and then they do their bridge, and it's a little funky, and you're like, okay, that's new. It kind of opens your eyes to different ways to write, different ways to figure out how you want it to sound, but also the lyrics that you write, because you're influenced by everything that goes on in your life. It's not just everything in your head, because everything in your head is what you experienced in the day, what your parents told you, what your boss said, what you heard on the radio. Like, you are subconsciously constantly being influenced by other things. So it's definitely it helps, but it also can make you, I don't know, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever felt this, but like you'll be singing a song. This happens. You'll be singing a song. And you're just like, wow, this was so good. And you thought you wrote it, and then you sing it to somebody else, and you're just like, wait a second, that's XYZ. Like that's not you. I'm just like, oh my god, that is not my words. I was singing like a Kali Uchis song, and I was just like, whoa, did I come up with that? Come to find out I didn't. So I think sometimes you have to check yourself, and you have to. And that's also the scary part. Like when you send music to big, like artists or whatever, just to be like, hey, listen to my music. I really love you. Blah blah blah. Like, yes, they can steal your song, but they also could hear it and do what I did and think that they wrote it, and now they have a chart topper because. Like, that's always my biggest fear.
But that's the thing. It's like you might never know if it was or wasn't. Like it could be and it could not be, but maybe, who knows? I mean,
how you gonna get in contact with them if you hear the song? Like, wait a second, I sent them my song, and this sounds exactly the same. You never know.
Coincidence?
I think not.
Yeah, I don't know. But I know, like me, if I'm singing, everyone's just going to tell me to shut up because I suck at singing. But I've never had, like, that experience. But, like, as far as, like, the influences thing you were talking about, like, we're all, like, influenced by, like, whatever. Like, for, like, producing, I know I just try to listen to a bunch of different producers with different styles and kind of, like, see what they're kind of, like, their patterns and everything, kind of how they're arranging tracks and, like, what they're doing. And I'll watch, like, YouTube videos of, like, behind the beat and things like that, of, like, how they made certain songs. And you'll find out, like, they put, like, obscure, like, sounds here and there. And you're just like, how did they do that? Or, like, how did they, like, chop this up? And, like, you could just study for days, like, the different types of people.
It makes it possible, if that makes sense. Like, if you are looking at, like you said, you're looking at a producer's song, and you're just like, all these obscure sounds, like, how did they make it flow? Now you're like, I can do that because they did that and they made it flow. So let me figure out what obscure sounds, because maybe you always thought there was something missing in your beats or something, and then now it's kind of opened up the floor to a new way of thinking towards your music.
Yep, and I definitely think like even if you get like bigger and bigger, you should always still be like learning from people.
Oh, definitely.
Like I hear a lot of artists, they say like they don't really listen to music when they start making music, and they're like, well, I haven't listened to any new songs or anything. To me, it's like you could do that and you could just like be focused on your own music, but at the same time, you're not hearing kind of like what is happening and how things are shifting and the different things that people are doing that might be way cooler or that you don't know of, that might kind of help you out in your own way. You know what I mean?
It all depends on your process. So some people, when they're writing, they can't. I'm personally not that way because all day you're not just writing. Like you go out, you go to the store, you turn on the radio. And I think it's definitely important to listen to other people's music. But if you also know your process is, if I listen to another song, it's going to influence whatever, and I don't want it to. I want it to be purely what I see the vision as. Then you do you, boo. Like it all depends on like your writing process. Like people are weird and people are cool. Like everything, the weirdness makes you cool. So if you can't listen to other people's music, cool. Reserve those streamings for your own music. Keep streaming yourself. I've heard people I've heard that some people like get a separate Spotify account and just stream their music. I'm like, that's interesting. Get their numbers up.
People probably got like these bot farms out here just streaming their own stuff. I don't know. Like me, I go back to my own like stuff every once in a while, but for the most part, I'm not just listening to myself all day. I'm listening to other people just to kind of like either free my mind or just kind of get influenced a little bit. So, but personal preference, to each their own, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think? Let's kind of shift to the finance part of music and kind of like the money talk. What do you think has been, if anything, a struggle as far as like how you deal with music financially? Like, do you struggle with promotion, like promoting yourself? Do you struggle with running ads or anything, which is kind of promoting yourself, or anything else? I know we don't have like shows right now, but do you have anything that's kind of been an issue for you?
Definitely not being able to do live shows, because when I was in South Africa, I was really trying to figure out what it is that I need to do to like build my fan base. And I was like, I just need to be at all the open mic, to do all shows, like even if I have to pay for it, I need to invest in this. And then Corona happened, and it was like, well, yeah, that plan is completely out of whack. Now you can't necessarily do that. Like that's planning for the future. So yeah, I've been trying to figure out how I can still, the overall goal, building a fan base and like having people to listen to my music, but it not looking how I thought it was going to look. And financially, I don't know. I think it's a little scary to think about, just because when you are thinking about promotion, a lot of that has to be paid. Like if you're doing Instagram ads or Facebook ads or whatever may have you, you have to, like, you can't just throw your money at it also. Like if you can figure out what works, if it's clickbait, then do clickbait. If it's, I don't know, if it's having the chorus play before the verse, then make that it's just the chorus, and then so that you can get people in, so that you're not wasting your money. Because I think it's so easy to waste your money. Like so many artists get reached out to by these marketing firms and all these, and they're like, in the beginning, you're like, oh, someone wants to take a chance on me. And then they're like, oh, actually, it's $150 to use my services. It's like, well, now that I have to pay for it. So you have to, I don't know. It's making me think beyond what can be paid for. Like trying to do more PR things, like reach out to blogs and scour the internet for contact information for certain music supervisors or people who write articles on large publications and YouTube channels to review your music, and you're going to have to pay for certain things. Like that's it's a part of territory. Like a lot of record labels, the only thing that separates an independent artist from a record label, well, two things, is they have more money, but they also, their contact list is strong.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's humongous. They can literally call up somebody and be like, hey, I have this new artist, you know, put on Jimmy Fallon. And they're like, okay, cool, we'll ask Jimmy Fallon. And then they're on Jimmy Fallon. Whereas us, we really have to build those relationships and reach out and start from ground zero. Whereas an artist who is signed to a record label, they're not starting at ground zero, because those record labels already built those relationships. So I think now with the coronavirus and no money coming in for music, at least in the way that it used to, at least for me, I've been having to look into the traditional way to promote music, like blogs and Spotify playlisting. Like there's this website that I just discovered. I think it's Digest Playlist. I don't know. I'll look it up and I'll let you know. But there is a website with there's so many Spotify playlists that you can submit your music to. It's free, and I had no idea, because when I released my previous projects, Spotify was big, but Spotify wasn't putting as much money into their marketing as they are now. Like everyone, it's literally Apple Music versus Spotify now. Yep. And when I put out my new project, and I've been going through my catalog of music, I'm like, why did I not know that it was this easy to just submit? And then if you go on Spotify, you can see some of them have their email addresses. They might not respond to you, but if you keep following up, that you'll get annoyed, and then they'll finally respond to you. Like I think as an artist, we're so afraid to be that pesky, annoying critter. But if you think about it, P. Diddy my mom went to Howard, and he went to school. Yes, they went to school together, but he was like in a few grades above her. And she was like, he was doing everything. He was a promoter. He was reaching out to everyone. He was so annoying. But look at him now.
It's almost like it's really not even just annoying. It's like being persistent and just
being persistent. And it may feel uncomfortable. Like for me, I've been trying to get myself to get out of my head. Like it's so easy for you to be like, well, I don't want to come off as like I'm asking for something. But reality is you are asking for something. If you are reaching out to this blogger, you want them to interview you. If you're reaching out to whomever, you are asking for a service. And you just need to dress it up so that it sounds cute, but also, like, you are reaching out because you respect what they bring to the table. Like, you maybe following their blog, like, show them love. But at the end of the day, you know what you want.
I think it's all in the. I think it's in the way you say it, and not just like what you're saying. Like you could say the same thing in two totally different ways, and it could come off two totally different like meanings. Like there's a difference between like spamming someone like check out my song, blah 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 blah, and being like, hey man, I like your page or whatever, great videos, and then be like, by the way, I make music, I do this, this, and this, and like if you could take a few minutes out of your day to listen to this, that would be great. Like that's totally different.
Super easy for them.
Yeah.
Have your link. If you have a press kit, press release. That's what I'm working on now is like a press kit for myself, and like update your website. Like make it easy for people to discover you. And this is advice that I'm taking every single day. You know, force myself. You know, reach out to 10 people a day. Send emails to 10 Spotify playlists a day. Like just see what will take, because you don't know what the world can offer unless you ask it.
Yeah, you don't know unless you're going to actually go out and try, and just kind of trial and error is really the key.
I know. So. And it has nothing to do with talent, to be honest.
Not at all. It's literally just, are you willing to put in the work to make it happen? That's really all it is. Like
you can think your music is so fire, but nobody's going to hear it unless
it might be good, guys, but they might not hear it at all if you don't put in any work. I could easily make a ton of music and just put it on this laptop, and no one would ever hear it. Yeah. But it's about actually putting yourself out there and letting people know what you have to offer.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. There are artists who just get stumbled upon and get a record deal or do whatever. Like, it happens, but those are like diamonds in the rough. Like that, there's so many diamonds that the algorithms just happen to happen for one. But just like you can know what you bring to the table and how talented you are. Like it doesn't diminish the fact that it's not happening as fast. And I think that's something that I've been really having to ground myself in. Like this was never meant to be easy. This was never meant to happen quickly. Like it's gonna take time. A lot of artists don't even like SZA didn't reach her peak until she was like almost into her 30s. Like. You can't really...
Everybody's timing is different.
Yeah, you don't know what your timing's supposed to look like. So, I don't know. I guess...
You just got to trust the process, really. I mean, trust the journey and just keep working. Stay consistent.
Yeah, and as long as you're doing everything that you think you can do, then at least you can say you were 110% down and you did everything you could. You don't want to have any lingering thoughts of what you what you could have done or should have done.
No regrets.
No regrets.
So, I got a couple more questions here for you. If you could go back 10 years ago, what do you think you would tell yourself? What advice would you give yourself about kind of I don't know if I'd say what to do differently, but like kind of like how you want to stay on whatever path that you're on today?
I think 10 years ago, I would tell myself, well, one, I would hope that I would have figured out that this is what I wanted to do earlier. And work on, like, recording. And because recording and being in the studio, that's a craft in itself. Like, being able to do your demos at home so you know exactly, because if you get in the studio and you know how to have it all clear, you will be there forever. And you're paying for that studio time. Like, you going to the studio is the final step after you figure out everything you want. Of course, new ideas may come once you record, but at the end of the day, you want to be concrete in everything you're bringing. What else would I tell myself? I think I tell myself to push myself more. It's so easy to be stuck in your shell. Like I'm I'm an extrovert, but not. I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert. And I think, especially for girls, I think we're always taught to kind of, not hide behind yourself, but stick with the status quo. You know, don't necessarily push the envelope. And it's not necessarily your parents teaching. It's just like what you observe in the world. And I think that it's always been me pushing myself to stop being so shy, or pushing myself to have a voice and be loud and proud, and like push myself beyond my fear, because you can so easily not do anything because you're afraid of what can happen. But like I said, the worst thing that can happen is they can say no or not respond, which is not the end of the world.
That is true. And like, if you're letting fear control you, you're never going to get anywhere, and that's going to be the worst thing that could happen to you out of all that. It's going to be way worse than someone saying no, is you just sitting doing nothing. So let's flip the script kind of then. If you could go 10 years in the future, where do you think you want to be in your career and everything and your life?
10 years? Oh, that's such a long time. Hopefully, I'm exactly where I want to be musically. Hopefully, like, I see myself within the next 2 to 3 years opening up for a large artist and having collabs, and just like how like Georgia Smith was on Drake's song, and then from there it kind of, the world just opened up. Like, I see myself having a similar path in that aspect, and then after that, having like selling out stadiums, collaborating with my dream collabs, and giving back to my community. Like, by 10 years, it sounds so far, but it's really not.
It'll be here before you know it, in all honesty.
No time.
Yeah.
So
really will.
I don't know. I'm hoping to pay off my parents' debt.
That's always a good thing.
Off my debt.
Yeah.
Pay for my sister's college career. Yeah, I just.
All good goals, though. All good things. So. I know you mentioned you had you said an EP, right, that you're working on?
Yeah.
Coming up. Do you have any other projects that you have coming out probably in the next few months that you want to kind of share with everyone?
Yeah, so my EP should be coming out by the end of September. So that's what I'm really working on. I've already recorded all the songs, so it's just in the process of being mixed and mastered. So stay posted for an actual date.
Nice.
And an EP title. I already know what it's called, but it's gonna be cute. So yeah, and I'm working on this song with this new rapper. That I'm not sure when that's coming out, but it's literally being mixed now. So that should be coming out in the next few months. It's about everything that's going on in the world. So I'm excited for that to come out. But I've been really focusing on my EP. I think a lot of times you can rush things. I think you get so excited that you're working on something and you're like, oh, it's going to come out tomorrow. And then you realize that you need to really listen to it, figure out how you want it to be, like the song sequence and the videos you want to have with it. So that's what I've really been pouring into, especially during this quarantine. So, yeah, so stay tuned for the EP.
Nice. I think it's definitely good that you're taking your time on it, like you said. And I think a lot of people kind of forget that, you should always put your 100% into everything that you do and not just kind of throw things out there. But you'll have to send me that EP because I'll definitely want to listen when it's out. So I'm looking forward to it. I know you're on Instagram, but are you on other social media, and do you kind of just want to share your handles and everything?
Yeah, so my name is AINAE MUSIX on all platforms. It's Ainae Musics with an X. Make sure to follow me because I like to share my life. So if you want to learn more about me, DM me. I respond to every single DM I get. all my comments. So yeah, I'm just a big love bug, So come on down.
Do you have any final words of wisdom today?
Final words of wisdom: never give up. It's gonna be hard, but it was never meant to be easy. I think the best things in life came with some trials and tribulations, some turbulence along the way. But at the end of the road, when you've checked things off of your list, you'll be able to sit back and be like, I know that was a ride, but we made it to the destination. And as long as you keep the destination in your head, then boom, you'll get there faster.
It's all about the journey. The journey is the real destination, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ainae, that's all I had for you today. That was we kind of went over time, but I don't really care because that was a great episode, and I thank you for sharing everything you shared and everything, and I wish you luck on college. I know you said you're going in your senior year and everything, so good luck with that, and good luck on pretty much everything you got going for you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Nice, and hopefully we can do this again real soon.
Oh, definitely.
Nice. Thanks for listening again today, everyone. That was episode 8 of the Creator Series. I'll be back next week with a guitarist and a producer named Sheldon Ferguson. So we'll see you same time, same place. We'll see you then.